Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Total Hockey Now here on the Total Hockey Now YouTube channel. The whole gang's here today. It's good to have everyone back in the fold. It's good news because doing our first mock draft of the summer. And yeah, I know free agency and the draft and all that, but we were just stretching the muscles out. It's been a while since we did one of these, so what else? Not too much else going on besides Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals with the Stars and Oilers. We'll talk about that. Panthers advancing, all that good stuff. Fellas, how we doing today?
Someone said mock draft season, so I am here. I am ready for it. I'm very excited, and salute to you guys for putting out that Mitch Marner video. Got a lot of sway there on the good old YouTube. So shout out to that.
Thank you. Hey, Mitch Marner, Toronto. I mean, let's face it, that's the hot buzz right now.
Listen, it's always nice when Leaf fans come in and try to explain why their defense isn't the problem. Yes, Mitch Marner, I mean, I get it. He didn't score a bunch of goals. Some of you, listen, the core four wasn't as bad as they usually are. They weren't elite, right? Like, listen, they're no Edmonton core four. But I don't know, man. I gotta pull out some hieroglyphics for some of you to look at that defense and understand the problem. But that's not today's problem. Today's problem is, will Adam get caught on the wrong side of his goaltending?
Well, I get caught on the wrong side of my goaltending. This is the question. Okay. I was going to ask him, I wanted to talk about the Sabres first a little bit here. I mean, has everybody submitted their, vacation request form or like permanent vacation request form to be out of Buffalo there? It's and I don't blame them, but I mean, that's just not a good look for a team when, like you got multiple guys, especially younger guys saying they'll get me out of here. JJ Peterka is another guy that's in trade rumors. It's just not ideal for the Sabres organization. It doesn't look like that playoff drought's going to end anytime soon.
You mean bringing in Lindy Ruff wasn't going to change the whole situation down there in Buffalo?
I mean, who would have thought that a guy that wasn't good enough for the Devils, who went out and got a better coach and got back to the playoffs who would have thought that Lindy Ruff wouldn't have worked out in Buffalo?
With 2 top draft picks that are stars right now. So that tells you all you need to know about Lindy Ruff.
Listen, I'm not crying for the Buffalo Sabres, right? Like, you guys already know my opinion on the city and the team. So
they ruined Devin Levi for you.
Listen, I got to see Devin Levi in person. I went to go watch the Laval Rocket at the Rochester American Game 4. Not a good showing. Not a good showing. It was not a good showing yesterday for them as well against Charlotte. But Levi was good. He was very, very good. I also got to see half a game, right, of Fowler. I didn't get to see the full game because he unfortunately didn't make it all the way. But at least it was nice to see two good goalies in action. Wish it would have gone the other way, but they played tonight, the Laval Rocket. If you guys care about it, listen, for Montreal fans, we're grappling at whatever we can get. Their ECHL team is in the final as well. They beat the Florida Everblades. Now you got Laval Rocket trying to advance to the next round here. They got to beat Charlotte, so it's a good time to be anything but a Montreal Canadiens fan. So we're jumping on the bandwagon to whatever we can attach ourselves to.
Minor league playoffs, if that televised, are always good stuff locally. Don't get too much of that here. The Barracuda for the Sharks, they made it to past the first round this year. They got to the quarterfinals. Maybe they do something next year, but nonetheless, we're gonna get to what are we here for today? We're here for talking the Stanley Cup playoffs here, and there you see up on the screen. We've got the bracket, and here we've got one team in the finals. We'll talk about the Panthers later. They eliminate the Carolina Hurricanes. Basically, a 30-second span ruined the Hurricanes' efforts up to that point in the game. Nonetheless, here we are in the Stanley Cup. They punched their ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals. Dallas trying to avoid Edmonton doing that tonight. As we see here tonight is Game 5. Oilers have won 3 in a row after the Stars took a big Game 1 victory there. Looking at the odds for tonight on the money line, Dallas -135, Edmonton +114, over 5.5 -130, under 5.5 +110. You're looking to grab either of them on the puck line minus a puck and a half. Dallas plus 185, Edmonton plus 265. So everything's saying it. People pretty much think that the Dallas Stars are going to win tonight, and that this game is going to have, at least 6 goals here. Early take from me is I think Dallas is too good of a team to just kind of go off here and let Edmonton beat them 4 in a row. That building's been rocking all playoffs long. I think, listen, does Edmonton close it out in game 6 on Saturday? Probably. But I do think Dallas is going to get at least have to go back to Edmonton one more time this spring, or technically, not technically summer, but we're almost there.
No, I think Edmonton can close this out. Good friend, obviously, Howard Bender wanted some advice while he was taking shots at boneless chicken wings, and I told him to take Edmonton's alternate puck line, which was Edmonton is considered the underdog here, so minus 1.5 at plus 265 is incredibly juicy here. I know that we're thinking the Dallas Stars are not going to lose, or that mathematics says that they shouldn't. They have been outside of that third period in game 1. They have been not that great. They get shut out at home. They scored 2 goals here on the road. They went into Edmonton and they got dismantled. And the goals that they did score mostly in the series have come on the power play, because Edmonton, the minute they go down a guy, they have no idea what to do. That penalty kill is so bad. But good thing is Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are elite, so it doesn't hurt as much. The play of Stuart Skinner here is the factor. He has, a lot of us had written him off, and then he said, hold on, hold my beer. And then he's come out and he has been fantastic. Give Dallas some credit. They have generated shots on goal. They've come out strong at first periods, but they can't score. And then that gives Edmonton the momentum that they need. They move their feet. They get contributions that guys like Corey Perry still scored goals. Guys like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins still score a goal. Big loss for Zach Hyman. Yes, he is hurt. Yes, that leaves a void. But Hyman wasn't really out there scoring a bunch of goals. He was just throwing his weight around because he's become that guy now. So I think as well, Mattias Ekholm is extremely likely to play this game. So that gives them a much-needed boost on the back end. So if there's one spot where they were weak, it was probably on their blue line, because Evan Bouchard defensively is not it. Darnell Nurse, you never know what you're going to get. So now you bring Ekholm in. Edmonton is just rocking here. They're all cylinders. So maybe it takes an empty net goal to get here, but I think the Edmonton Oilers are going to take care of business here. They want to go home, but they want to go home happy.
I blew my bracket on at least on the Eastern side, thanks to those frauds down in Tampa who blew everything for me. And now Florida's all the way in the Stanley Cup final, but we talked about it every round. Oh, this is finally the year the Kings are going to get there. They're going to beat Edmonton. Nope. It's going to be Vegas. Vegas has all the experience in the world. They'll take out Edmonton. Nope. The Stars, if it's finally the Stars' time, Ottinger's finally going to take care of business. Nah, not this time. I got Edmonton winning here. I actually we've talked about this since the beginning. I had them. I feel like there is something going on down there or up there in Edmonton, and I feel like they are going to not only win this series, but I do have them winning the Stanley Cup. So I'm going to stick with that.
They've looked good. I know Dallas has got 2 goals in the last 3 games. Offense isn't there. Mikko Rantanen, who was going to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, 3 weeks ago, has not done much of anything since the early in the Winnipeg series. Yeah, I just, and I get it. Edmonton, and then they're getting Ekholm back, which it's okay, great. Now you're getting your best defenseman back too. That pushes everybody else back into their proper spots on the blue line. There's a lot of reasons to like Edmonton to get it done tonight. And yes, they would like to go home, not have Dallas come back with them, because the Stanley Cup Finals, if the series ends tonight, we're looking at a June 5th start date. If the series goes beyond tonight, it looks like we're looking at a June 7th start date. So going to be some lean times coming up here this week, especially if the series wraps up tonight. But I just think at the end of the day, and this is more of a gut thing, but Dallas, I can't see them going off this, whimpering off this way. I know that's what happened to the Kings in the first round. They won the first 2 games, and then Edmonton just basically was kept coming back. And, anytime the Kings thought they had anything going for them, Edmonton's nope, we're going to win. And they did. I'd like to think Dallas goes out a little bit better than what they've shown here. And yeah, I still think Edmonton's going to win the series in 6. You know, if you want to go back to the series odds there for a minute, Edmonton in 6 plus 220. If you think it's going to go 7, that's one thing that's interesting. They think if it goes 7, Dallas would have the edge at that point slightly, plus 700 for Dallas in 7. Edmonton in 7 plus 750. But yeah, I would say Edmonton in 6 here. Dallas gets it done tonight. How do we feel about the total in this game? Over 5.5 is minus 130, under 5.5 plus 110. Yeah, it looks like the money's leaning on the over here. And yeah, Stuart Skinner's playing out of his mind, but at some point he has to come back down to earth. And I'm sure there'll be a gradual, come down. But at some point, we can talk about what a potential Oilers-Panthers Stanley Cup final looks like in a few minutes here. But I don't know if he could play like this for another 2 weeks. But nonetheless, for tonight, how do we feel about the total?
I feel like 8 or 9 out of 10 times when the Oilers are playing, you're taking the over on the goals if it's 5.5. It was like that for the first series against the Kings, and I hope everyone was taking the over because that's most of the games and most of the score was over, and you're going to be making a lot of money. So I'm going to stick with the over here. I think that you look at the last 2 games, Dallas only scoring 1 goal each and then not scoring in game 2. I think that they're going to score at least 2 or 3 goals in this game.
Yeah, if we take Adam's patent pending theory here, which is over, under, right? Over, under last game. So, I mean, math, right? It's basically the same like astrology and voodoo, like whatever your sign is. Obviously, that's, that's legit, right? People live by that. So, because we're not like, some of us are superstitious, maybe a little stitious, me super. So, we're going to take the over here because I mean, yes, there's probably some correction coming for Stuart Skinner, but it's also Stuart Skinner. Like he could implode at any moment. And Jake Ottinger is just he's not doing it yet. He's not doing it. I would tend to believe like sometimes these games are supposed to be tighter. You think of in closeout games. The Oilers just don't do that. They're not going to be tight in there. And if Dallas gets caught in any type of penalty trouble, I think the Oilers can certainly score. And if the Oilers get caught in some penalty trouble, the puck's going in, that's for sure. Also, why are we waiting a week for the NHL like Stanley Cup Finals to start? Like that, just the NHL again, just letting it rip. They're just like whatever. Like I get it. You finish. You could have started this series. Let's say it closes out tonight.
Saturday.
Saturday would probably be best. But if you're
or
like
Sunday.
Hey,
you got to
Sunday
give Florida time to get to wherever they got to go. There's got to be a little bit of a hype.
They're on the beach.
I know, but what I'm saying is you have to have a Stanley Cup Finals media day. Like these are all part of the process here. So you can't like if Edmonton wins tonight, the series ain't starting Saturday.
What am I going to do?
Didn't we have this issue last year too, though? Like with Edmonton going to Florida, like there was the whole how many days off they're going to be getting. Like I feel like we had this discussion last time as well.
So if the series ended tonight, I think you could start the series on Thursday either way at this point. No matter when if the series were to end tonight, maybe you could push it up, but to Wednesday. I mean, I know building availability comes into play here too. I don't know what's booked in either building. Obviously, there's no Mavericks basketball for the Stars, and Edmonton doesn't share the building, so it's whatever concerts are scheduled at this point. But yeah, I get you want to have some build up, but like if the series ends tonight, you're going a full week without hockey. They should have it should have been a Wednesday at the latest, and then if Dallas wins tonight, to wait till next Saturday, and I get it. Hockey night in Canada has to have their one Saturday game during the Stanley Cup Finals. And I guess they're just trying to get that out of the way either by game 2 or game 1, depending upon how the chips fall here. But it's going to be a long layoff without hockey. Yeah, I know it's a long trip from Florida to Edmonton, but Florida knows they're getting on a plane regardless, wherever they go. So it's not like, okay, if this team wins, they got to go here. But no, Florida's going to Edmonton or Dallas. Obviously, Dallas would be a much shorter trip.
I know that you're getting the rest, like the team is getting a much needed rest, but as the Panthers, wouldn't you be just a little annoyed just with that entire layoff from like a full week's layoff? I feel like that's a disservice to them.
I feel like
having to wait that long.
For like a veteran team like them that it's going to their 3rd straight Stanley Cup, they're the defending champs. Matthew Tkachuk. Not to say he's a decoy at this point, but obviously he's not a favorite for the Conn Smythe right now. He's probably playing through something, but I don't think most of those guys, and the Panthers roster does shade a little bit, at least the guys they count on a little bit towards the older side. So I don't think anybody's going to mind a few extra days off, as Chris likes to point out, on the beach. Like that'll do a lot of good for you. Paul Maurice is a pro at this point to how to navigate this. If it was a younger team, a team that hadn't been there before, maybe that long layoff screws with you. I think for a team like Florida, they know how to navigate this. They've been playing basically every other night for the last few weeks. And they've dealt with this before in the Stanley Cup. They've dealt with the travel going to both Vegas and Edmonton. Dallas would seem like a vacation from a travel perspective. What is that, like a 2-hour flight from Southern Florida to Dallas, maybe a little longer? But yeah, going back to the total, the problem with taking the under, even if it was 6.5, Edmonton just has this ability to score and burst. So even if you're like, okay, this game's got underwritten all over it after 2 periods, and not that it's ever safe after 2 periods, in a game like this where Dallas is trying to survive, they're going to play a little bit more defensively. They're going to try and clamp down. So everything says go to the under, but the way this series is, I think they're almost trying to tempt you at plus 110 as a sucker bet there. So yeah, I would say that at over. I know the game's been split in the series 2-2 on that total. But yeah, I would say over, because again, if Dallas is desperate late, they're going to pull their goalie, and Edmonton's, the goalies go earlier and earlier, empty net goals. Yeah, I'd say over the 5.5 here. At least we're all in agreement on that. We got a couple of friends checking in the chat here. We got Marek. Always good to see him, and State of Survival, our resident Islander fan, surviving as an Islander fan. We'll see how Patrick Waugh, he's staying. So we know that.
Yeah.
He is, and good for them for not doing a full house clean, because that roster, there are very few coaches that would have gotten a whole lot out of that roster. So at least they're giving Waugh a chance.
A lot of French now in the Islanders front office. A lot of French. I'm saying.
I mean, is that going to be like like Quebec's like other team now? They're going to have a soft spot for the Islanders?
Never. Then I'd have to watch the Islanders play, and I'm not there yet. Also, I'm this week layoff. Like, I don't care how it affects the players. I'm more worried about how this affects me. What am I going to watch? Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to be suckered into something I don't want to do, like going out to somewhere I don't want to be, or watching Love Is Blind or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like when hockey's there, you can you can just have a good time. There's like, oh yeah, I can't go anywhere. Sorry, hockey's on TV.
The NBA playoffs too, that depending upon what happens with Knicks Pacers, there might be a gap there. So it's not even like, all right, NBA Finals.
The NBA playoffs are a blowout. It doesn't even matter what it is. If you watch the NBA playoffs, it's just because you have nothing to do, man. Go outside, touch grass. I don't know.
The first round was good, and then it kind of tailed off from there. But yeah, and baseball's it's a chance for you to catch up on things while you wait for the Stanley Cup Finals to start. It gives you a few nights. It's been a long stretch here, the first few rounds.
Gives me a chance to rest my body. You know what I mean? Before it starts.
See, good idea. Like a little AHL playoffs. Watch the Rockets play. There you go.
They got it. So they played Wednesday and Thursday. Okay. When did I go? What was it? Wednesday? No, I don't remember. Days of the week are tough now. But they closed out their series, and then Thursday they play back to back at home. Then they got to travel to Charlotte. So they got a whole bunch of time off. So even if everybody wrapped, I got nothing. I got no hockey to watch this weekend. I'm not happy about that, Gary.
Like you like to say about Sabres fans and other fans, I'm really crying for you, bud. I'm really sorry. Really, really sorry.
I know.
Chris Lamorello's still with the Islanders. But it's not Lou.
He would have never let me keep this. I guess we'll call it a beard. He would have never tolerated that.
No.
I would let players grow out whatever beard they want. Show up in sweatpants.
Now, we've talked about tonight's pit. We've given you picks for Game 5 tonight out of the American Airlines Center. Florida Panthers, of course, advanced last night. 2 goals in 30 seconds is basically all they needed to get right back into that game. And Carolina just had nothing for them. One little nugget that I liked was Florida has ended each of their series on the road in 2025. So, again, going back to them just being a veteran-laden team that just they're ready for it all. They don't care. They whatever situation's thrown at them, they can play whatever style hockey. A friend of mine, Rob Pepitone, he texted me last night saying something along the lines is like, I can't remember a hockey team like the Panthers that when they decide to strike, they're going to make it happen. They're going to score. Edmonton to a little bit of a lesser degree, the way they've been playing, during the playoffs. But Florida's they're impressive right now. They've for every schmuck like me that picked Tampa to beat them in the first round, and I know other people.
I did too.
I know, There was a fair amount of people. Tampa fooled us. Tampa played their best hockey like the 2 weeks leading up to the playoffs and then fell right on their face. And we shouldn't have disrespected Florida that much. I really thought there would be a little more wear and tear. 2 straight trips to the Stanley Cup Finals, lots of long series, lots of travel. But, again, they're proving time and time again that, they're ready to take care of it. Now, before we preview what each final would look like, Edmonton, Florida, Florida, Dallas, let's talk a little Carolina here. I think it was Jeff Marek that made the point. When Matthew Tkachuk went after Sebastian Aho to get retribution there and was just bugging him up and down the ice and making it clear that there was going to be a price to pay there, and nobody on Carolina responded, A, that's a joke. B, is Rod Brindamore, a guy who would never let that stand in his day, he's got to feel like he's not doing a good job as a coach, because to have nobody respond there, and let's face it, the Hurricanes are not a skill-based team where it's like, okay, who's going to fight? Who's going to man up? Who's going to be the tough guy? You got Jalen Chatfield has no problem leg sweeping people to end fights, but you watch one of your best players and one of your alternate captain getting, basically rode all the way into your own zone by the other team's, one of the other team's best players and big boys, and you do nothing. Yeah, no surprise that they showed no fight once Florida scored those 2 goals. That was it.
I said it at the beginning of the playoffs. I said it even after they beat my Devils. The Carolina Hurricanes don't fool me. Until they prove it, they're just like the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have not been able to get to the next part. And here we go again. Another lost season.
I mean, listen, they keep getting to the same point and they keep losing. And
the same team.
That too, but they keep making it to the Eastern Conference Final. Listen, small wins here. They finally won a game in the Eastern Conference Final. So that's important here. But I don't think it's about what Carolina didn't do. I think it's about just how good Florida is at this point. Like, the Carolina Hurricanes are not a bad team, and yet they at every point looked like they were bad, because Florida came out. They in those wins, they scored 5 or more goals. That is a lot for playoff hockey. They just kept pounding the back of the net. They, Freddie Anderson's not terrible. This is a good defensive team. Didn't show. And Florida's best players are their best players. If you want to see what a core 4 looks like, listen up, Toronto. Okay. The guys like Barkov, guys like Reinhart, guys like Tkachuk, I'll throw Carter Verhaeghe in there because we got to throw somebody in there, but you can, throw whoever else you want. Those are guys that win Stanley Cups. That's what it looks like, right? I'm not sure which goal it was. I'm not sure it was the first or the second. Maybe the first. Barkov loses the faceoff, out-muscles his dude in the corner, gets the puck back, shot from the point, tipped in by Matthew Tkachuk because he's standing in front of the net where he should be. These are guys who understand it. They are good offensively. Are they 100-point players? Maybe not, right? I mean, I know Matthew Tkachuk has gotten there before. Sam Reinhart can fill the back of the net, but it says something that the Florida Panthers are this successful. And oh, by the way, and we can agree to disagree if you want, but 2 Selke players are on that team. Whether you believe Reinhart deserves to be there or not, it's neither here nor there. Nobody's challenging Barkov being a Selke nominee. These are elite 2-way forwards. Matthew Tkachuk gives you a little bit of everything. And, Carter Verhaeghe can bring you. If you want to throw a core 4 in there, look at Sergei Bobrovsky. He was not very good to start the playoffs, and then all of a sudden just turned it on. And he was like, hey, let's get this done. So this is what a core 4 looks like. This is what it takes to win. There's no question about that. Invest in guys who are these types of players, because they have made a lot of different teams look really, really bad. When it counts, they show up and they take over the game. It may not be goal scoring, but when Florida was down early and I was like, oh my God, is it like, are the Carolina Hurricanes good? Boy, was I wrong, because then it took them 30 seconds. They turned on the Jets, and here they come.
You can also, as a wild card for a core 4 candidate, Gustav Forsling, because all he is just that unheralded top pairing defenseman that you can just play in any situation. Not a liability offensively, strong defensively. I know that's not a sexy name, but that's just as important as knowing that you got a back end when you have Forsling, Ekblad, Kulikov, Jones, Nikola, why the Rangers everybody liked him with the Rangers. Why they couldn't find a way to work with a guy like that, I don't know. It's not like they needed size on the blue line or anything and toughness. And then Nate Schmidt. It doesn't matter who your sixth defenseman is at that point. Florida, and you made the point of like Carolina. They get this far and they run into the Panthers. Last year they lost to the team that lost to the Panthers in the conference finals. I do think that has, it's not okay. Carolina underachieved, whereas, they ran into the Panthers. I do think on some level they did not play their best hockey. Some points they did. But, when people talk about big changes coming to Carolina, as Marek's asking, I saw some people like, do you change the coach? I'm like, I don't know if I do that. Again, I think for all the reasons you said, when there's a team like the Panthers there, you have to weigh that into it too. You brought in Stankoven. You tried to make the big change with Rantanen and then kind of was like, oh, well, he doesn't want to be here. And now they had to adjust. And I think they made the best of what that situation could have been. Now, maybe they need more scoring. Maybe they're, not to say they're too defensively focused, but you look at a team like Edmonton, they can turn on the Jets and score when they need to. Look at a team like Florida, they can score when they need to. Dallas too, another team that they've shown abilities to score and burst very quickly. Carolina maybe needs a little more offensive punch. Maybe they get a little spoiled being in the Metropolitan Division, which is really 3 hockey teams right now.
And it's not, you know what I mean? Like, what big changes are you going to do to a team that, consistently gets to the playoffs and, that they still made it to the Eastern Conference Final? Not meant. Listen, the Maple Leafs haven't seen that in I don't know how long. So it's hard to look at them and be like, oh, this is a failure. They ran into the Florida Panthers. They need to build a team that is able to get past the Florida Panthers. They, like you said, it's no, I mean, yeah, listen, you're going up against Goliath here, but I don't think Logan Stankoven was bad. Taylor Hall was pretty good. He wasn't terrible. Being a throw-in piece, they made the most out of the Rantanen situation. I mean, look at them last year. They went out to go get Jake Gensel as well. They're trying. They're doing the best that they can do. They probably have to maybe retool a little bit, go out, get some more guys who can, shore up their blue line even more. Is it really Freddie Anderson's fault? I don't know. Not really. They didn't play well in front of him. A couple more depth pieces. I mean, Jesperi Kotkaniemi was a body that didn't matter. Roslovic's in and out of the lineup, doesn't matter. So maybe get another guy up front, but the Carolina brand of hockey is still good, right? I know people are kind of getting spoiled and they're angry at this moment, and that's fair, but this is a team that has proven that they can get as close as you can get to the hump without going over it. So, build from there.
And the hump they keep running into is a hump that nobody's able to beat, not since the Golden Knights. So
listen, every team, nobody could get past the Florida Panthers last year. So it's not like they're the outliers here.
I know they got Stankoven and Hall out of these deals here, but would they have fared off better by keeping Natchez on that team?
I think that relationship at that point had probably gotten past the point of Natchez wanting to stay. Maybe it could have been salvaged. I don't know. But in hindsight, I mean, he's not to say he replaced Rantanen because that's a very tough void to fill, but he plugged in just fine on that top line. They kept humming along. It's not to say they didn't miss him, but everything was fine. And he's going to be just fine there. So
Stankoven is a rookie, by the way.
Yes.
Like, we're not talking about a 10-year, they took a rookie he played arguably well, right? It's hard to thrust them into that situation versus Mikko Rantanen, who's a seasoned vet with a Stanley Cup ring on his finger. Like that, to me, they did the best that they could with the tools that they had. And if as an outsider looking in at them, that's a good team. They get there. They're missing a little bit. They're a lot closer to the end goal than they are like away from it. You know what I mean? Other teams have glaring issues. I don't think this team has glaring issues. I just think it's, they got beat by a better team, but they got to figure out a way to get around them.
Got a couple of comments in the chat here. How long can Burns and Anderson last? They're old. That's a great point. Brent Burns is no spring chicken. His best days are down the road for me in San Jose. But he's still in effect good player. But yeah, I mean, how much more are you going to lean on a guy who's 38? Also, crap. He's referring to Svechnikov there. They need an overhaul, not a rebuild. I agree. They need a change in the lineup, but they don't need to. It's not like they're going to just crumple up the paper, throw it at the wall, and say, let's start over. We also got another one in the chat here. SBK, will Jeff Skinner get first crack at Hyman's spot and Corey Perry if he remains in his current role? I mean, that's what it's projecting to be here. As I'm looking at daily faceoff, where they plug him in the lineup, I don't know. Right now, with the way Nugent Hopkins is playing, you got to keep him on the top line there with McDavid. And the thing with Corey Perry is you really can play him at the top. You can play him at the bottom. I think at least to start, try and spread things out a little bit. Dallas has the pressure on them. You keep Perry on that top line so you have some sort, so nobody tries to do anything stupid with McDavid or Nugent Hopkins. You leave him there and you see how the game goes. You can always move it around. That's the way I play it.
I mean, Corey Perry's like 100 years old, right? So even if you wanted to play him with Draisaitl or McDavid, he can't keep up. That there's no question about that. He is probably
He's been
better.
fine with them.
He has, but I think his role is better suited where he is, right? And it's the same conversation at that point for Evander Kane. I think this is the spot for Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner has proven that he can score. He's, even if he plays with Draisaitl, right? Draisaitl's an elite passer, right? We know what McDavid can bring. Skinner's not going to be Hyman, right? He's not going out there to throw his weight, but he can find the back of the net, and that's adding an extra piece, right, to an already very good offensive group, right? When the depth starts to contribute, it helps a lot. So I would give Skinner the first crack and say, hey man, this is your spot. Now do everything you can to stay in the lineup. Not because there's an injury here that you can't come in and out. You know what I mean? He's waited 10 years to be here, buddy. Stick around as much as you can. So that's how I would see it. I wouldn't move Corey Perry off his role. He's going to see a ton of ice time too. He's still going to see power play time. I expect him to be the guy in front of the net. That's the guy who's going to be there, and he's going to park himself there, and he's probably going to take a goalie interference penalty. It's coming. It's going to happen. If you could bet on it, do so.
It should be on your bingo card. It should absolutely be.
Listen, he's running into Ottinger, and at some point he's gonna benefit from it.
I don't know if Zach Hyman is the loss that they're really making it out to be. Last year, maybe, right? He scored 54 goals last year, but this year he just has not been the same player. I don't know if he's if it was Draisaitl or McDavid, yeah, that pretty much changes the landscape of everything for the Edmonton Oilers. But Hyman, not this year.
Hyman's probably, I mean, he's been very physical in the playoffs, and listen, you need that to, play teams like Vegas and play the team like Dallas and deal with a team like the Kings that's also, physical and defensive minded. It hurts them, but can they win the finals without him? And that actually brings me to where I wanted to go to next before we got to the Conn Smythe odds and then our fantasy hockey mock draft, which we're all very much looking forward to. Stanley Cup Finals, it's two possibilities. It's Edmonton, Florida, Dallas, Florida. Let's start with the less likely of the two scenarios here. So Dallas wins 3 in a row. They pull it off, the 3-1 series comeback, which doesn't happen all that often. Last team to do it was the Panthers against the Bruins in the first round when the Bruins had that historical season. With the Dallas Stars having momentum, how do we do? Is anybody here picking the Stars over the Panthers if that was the matchup? I'm not.
No.
So even with the momentum, with that. Now let's get to the more interesting scenario. Oilers, Panthers rematch. Edmonton has the home ice this time. Looking at the Stanley Cup odds here, it's about as close as you can get. They still have to keep Dallas on the board at 15-1 right now. Edmonton will come down if they win tonight. Florida -110, Edmonton +110. How do you see that series going out? Is it still just Florida's a wagon and nobody can slow this down? Or does Edmonton get revenge for last year? I think as long as Edmonton doesn't lose anybody else and they keep playing and Skinner keeps holding up, because the thing with Skinner that's worrisome is it's feast or famine. It's either he's giving up one or less or he's going to get the doors blown off him. So you get it. Even an average version of Jeff Skinner can alter things a little bit, but I think Edmonton could do it. I think Edmonton would win the rematch this time.
Destiny, baby. Edmonton in 7. That's what I got. I even talked about this at the beginning of the playoffs. That lasting image of Connor McDavid in his locker room crying at the end of Game 7 last year, that left the mark on me. I think that this team is destined to win this one this year. And if they, for some reason, win Game 1 if they make it, they win Game 1 of the Stanley Cup, or they're able to go tit for tat with the games here and not go down 3-0, I think they have a really good chance at winning this. They already know that they've come back from 3-0 deficit against a really highly touted Florida team. I think it's their time. I think they get the revenge and they win it in 7.
Listen, as much as I don't want Edmonton to win a Stanley Cup, because that would put an end to the Canadian curse, which is fine. Like an extra year doesn't matter. The Habs will take care of that within the next 2 to 4 years. So, what's another few years? You know what I mean? I can wait. Listen, Florida is like, they are a force to be reckoned with. This is a team. They are built. There are very, very few weaknesses on this team. And I get the Oilers are better, man. And I get, yes, having lost it, you're so close and you're right there. You're going to have to pry this out of McDavid's hands. Like he is, when they showed that clip of him and Draisaitl kind of just glancing at each other after that first game. And it's like, you knew that was it. Like once they take over, you can't stop them. But, the Florida Panthers demonstrated that they can. And if anybody can do it, it's them, right? And I think the one part that worries me the most, Edmonton's inability to kill penalties, man. They're going to take penalties. They employ Corey Perry, right? And then Florida employs Matthew Tkachuk. So at some point, one of those two is going to do something they shouldn't do. And then once those power plays start to kick in, the Oilers don't really have that, they don't have that belief that they can kill the penalty. And yes, Stuart Skinner has played better, but he's still Stuart Skinner, right? Like, let's not get it twisted. It's feast or famine with him, right? And you don't know when that switch is going to turn off. And, let's not forget, we saw this last year. Calvin Pickard was in the middle a little bit, and then all of a sudden Stuart Skinner comes back. So if they get off to a, rocky start and you got to play Pickard after that, I don't know. It's going to be close. I do think it goes 7. I don't think we see another like 3-0 kind of lead thing. No. They've been here. They understand what they need to do. It's going to be closer. But in terms of detail, in terms of execution, in terms of teams that have done it, it's Florida.
And the other thing, point here too, with Edmonton, we know what the X factor is how long till Stu Skinner, regresses to the mean a little bit. Find that. What is that angle for the Panthers? What is the thing about their game right now that you're like, oh, that worries me, or oh, I don't like that? Short of a major injury to a Barkov, Tkachuk, Bobrovsky, I don't know where their weakness is. And again, I'd like to see Edmonton do it. It'd be a great story. Finally see McDavid lift the cup, him and Draisaitl, all that. It's really tough to go against the Panthers right now. One other thing related to tonight's game, Skinner and Kane anytime goals hovering around plus 350, or is there an angle to take one over the other? I might, if Kane is skating with Draisaitl, then I might lean that way. But I don't know. I mean, I don't love either one, but if I had to pick between the two, it would be Kane.
I would pick Skinner. I mean, neither one of these guys I think are going to see any top power play time, so it's not, what I mean? Like, it's not going to matter. I just, Skinner's a better goal scorer, right? I know he hasn't played, and I know Evander Kane's cooled off a little bit, but Evander Kane isn't the player that he once was. I think this is a good opportunity for for Jeff Skinner to remain in the lineup. Here's your shot, buddy. You know what I mean? You waited 10 years. You played one playoff game, and I'm sure Chris Nalba was like, hey, man, stay ready. At some point, you'll get your chance. This is it, right? The 8 Mile song right now comes on. That's what I'm assuming, right?
Don't eat spaghetti before the game.
That's what I'm expecting Jeff Skinner to be listening to as he walks in on the playlist, on the Spotify or the, Apple Music, whatever. He's got the 8 Mile song in his ear, This is it, right? So I would sprinkle there. I could care less about Kane, which means he's 110% scoring tonight because I don't care.
There you go. That's the kind of analysis you get here on Total Hockey Now. Before we get to the mock draft, we do want to talk Conn Smythe odds. We're doing that every week. Let's get those up on the screen. There we go. And you can see in parentheses what the odds were last week there. Barkov, I got it backwards, but nonetheless, please, plus 550 now. It was 11-1 last week. But McDavid, the odds on favorite at plus 160. Shorter from plus 500. Bobrovsky's also come down to plus 250. Leon Draisaitl's basically been cut in half. Mikko Rantanen's fall from grace there for the odds. There it is, from plus 350 all the way to 22-1. Sam Bennett, 75-1 to 30-1, making an impact. Maybe he's that fourth member of the core four if he decides to stick around in Florida next year. going to be, I mean, if he's willing to take less than what he could get on the open market, that's a guy that might have a new home there. And then, Verhaeghe's playing his way up. Skinner certainly has played his way up. And then you see some of the longer shots on the right side of the screen there. Would probably have to. I don't know if anybody on that right side really has a chance at this point. But anybody that's jumping out at you when you take a look at those?
Well, you should have grabbed Leon Draisaitl last week, right? You listened to
Yes.
the show, you understood that 14-1 was just that was way too far for him, considering what he is capable of doing. So, terrible that you lose half the value there. Not really. I mean, Sam Bennett is having a pretty good. He's having a pretty good playoffs. He's going to get paid in the offseason. Somebody's going to give him too much money. It's just a question of if it's the Leafs or if it's like Detroit or one of those teams that just love overspending for things they don't need. Man, it's hard to bet against Connor McDavid, right? The problem is that plus 160, you're not getting some great value here. I would probably lean a little bit closer to, there's still good value on Sam Bennett at 30-1. Again, it's unfortunate we didn't take him at 75-1, but it is what it is. Maybe a little bit on Alexander Barkov just because of how good he is. Like, there's so many things that he does well. He's having a pretty good playoffs. I know that like everybody's drawn to the numbers, but what Barkov brings is so different than just numbers. They're like he is as complete of a centerman as you can find in the NHL. Like if you take him off that team, the Panthers are significantly different than what they are today. So that's probably where I would, sprinkle a little bit there. But again, you already took Leon Draisaitl because you understood the assignment. And
Who do you like, Ant? Besides McDavid, obviously.
Draisaitl and maybe Kachuk here at was the 15-1.
I mean, the fact that he's 15-1 and he hasn't had like a standout postseason means they're just waiting for him to have like a game or two, and then he will probably move up. So that's not a bad way to go.
This exact thing happened last year too, coming off of the great playoffs he had the year before, and then last year wasn't great, but he's always a candidate.
I'll say this: if it's Edmonton's going to go all the way and win the cup, and I don't think if Edmonton loses to Florida, I doubt they award it to a losing player 2 years in a row, regardless of what McDavid or Draisaitl does in the series, unless it's too good to ignore. I don't know if there's anybody else that's a candidate to even win it for Edmonton, because if they're going to win the cup, they're going to need the best games out of at least one of those two guys. And I know they'll need good hockey out of Stuart Skinner, but unless Stuart Skinner shuts them out in all 4 victories and plays really well in the 3 losses or whatever the losses are, I can't see him passing McDavid or Draisaitl at that point. So if you like Edmonton, it's those two or bust. Florida, I can see this being a year where maybe Barkov gets it all around importance. Bobrovsky too. Yeah, I mean, and Bennett has a little bit of a longer shot there. Verhaeghe, his penchant for playing well in important games. If he can play well enough leading up to that point, where maybe that sways it. But I think I don't think there's really anybody on the right side of the screen we're looking at this point.
Nope. Don't even entertain it. It's just throwing money in the toilet. That's
probably the last. This is probably whatever you like. This is probably the last chance to get on it, because by the time the finals actually start and the boards go up for just the 2 teams that are left, it's really tough to find any value there. So there you go. I think, fellas, I know we're excited here. We just missed 2:50 start times on the drafts here, but we can absolutely. Let's see here. I don't want to be. We might miss the 2:50s. It's already at 3. So do we want to pick a 2:55, or do we want to try and jump in a 2:50 here?
I was like, where is it 2:00 right now? And then
I'm sorry,
you're living in the past. Gotcha.
There is a world on the West Coast, my friend. A lot happens out here too.
Listen, I hate these 8 p.m. East Coast games. Start them at 7. Some of us are aging. Okay, some of us want to get to bed early.
Love the 5 o'clock go. And it's not. Well, that's the thing. It's not an 8 o'clock puck drop. It's an 8:20 or 8:18 or whatever it is. That's the other thing too. Like maybe not 20 minutes of build up from the start time. Maybe just let's do it at like 8:08. Let's get those anthems and everybody ready to go at 10 after the hour. So let's go in the 2:55 window. Let's do you want to do a 10 teamer today? Keep it easy.
Sure. Let's ease our way in here.
All right, so let's do 10 team head-to-head categories mock right there. I'm gonna join that one. Boom. You guys should have it there. And hey, if you want to join us here, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. That way, if anybody who's watching wants to participate, please join in. Go. Yeah, we got 3 minutes to kill there. In the meantime, our friend SBK is giving us something to talk about here. McDavid 4+ shots on goal, +105 looks like highway robbery tonight. He's sprinkling the 5+ 235 as well. The Hyman injury is his calling card for more attempts. Yeah, I mean, when he's not on the line, and listen, was he a 50-goal scorer this year? No, but last year he was, so he does have the ability to put the puck in the net, and McDavid's going to take that on more. He's skating with Nugent Hopkins with the play he's playing. He might defer a little bit more there, but nonetheless, I like 4 or 5 shots on goal. Why not?
I don't know if he's the one who's going to be shooting the puck, though. I want to believe that he will. If McDavid decides he's doing something, he's going to do it. There is no, you know what I mean? Like, he could just wake up today and decide he's going to shoot everything. Ryan Nugent Hopkins isn't really the shooter. I just don't know how much space 5-on-5 he's going to get. That, I think, is the question I'm asking myself. How much space is he going to get? I think he could, he's not the shooter on the power play, right? He's not the guy who's going to be shooting it. Draisaitl shoots it more on the power play, and then you got Evan Bouchard sitting in the back there, a Corey Perry tap in front of the net, right? That's where I see. If anything, I would take the over on whatever Draisaitl's shot total is. And same thing for Evan Bouchard. I don't think that total is going to come from whoever's playing on the wing with those two. But somebody does have to shoot on his line. Somebody's got to figure it out. It could be the 4 is just way up there, and McDavid sometimes has a ability to draw in enough and then free somebody else up on his line.
I think McDavid had 4 shots on goal in games 1 and 2 in the series, 3 in game 4, 2 in game 3. He got 5 in 2 of the games against Vegas, and then 4 in game 1. Games 3 and 4, he had 5 shots on goal there. But yeah, I mean, listen, Edmonton's, like we've talked about before. Edmonton does not want Dallas on a plane behind them on the runway going back to Edmonton. They want to go back by themselves, and McDavid's going to do what he can to get it there. So got a couple more minutes before we're in the draft room there. We do have SBK has joined us. We got Steve Smart's team. So a couple of our guys that are partaking here, very nice here. It'll actually slow down. The ESPN mock drafts are very fast, especially when it's just the 3 of us in the room. So that will help slow it down just a tad as we get close here, about a minute away before we enter into the room.
Shout out to SBK and Steve making it 5 here for a fantasy mock draft on the eve of what is game 5 now of the Western Conference Finals.
Here we
you
go.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is what we're here for. I mean, this is what we're going to be doing all summer, by the way. Once we get through the next couple of weeks here, mock draft every week. If we're on, we're doing a mock, and it'll have more. Best part of the year. We'll have more value, obviously, once free agency runs its course and the draft. Why not have a little fun with the current season roster here, as we are 20 seconds away. Let's see. He said Homie had 7 shots on goal in the King Series twice, but that was definitely a different squad and much more on the line tonight for the Stars. So, yeah, listen, there's a lot of reasons to think McDavid's going to shoot the puck a lot, but there's also a lot of reason to think that they're going to focus a lot of it. Dallas is going to focus a lot of their attention on him, and they'll have the last change. So you got to keep that in mind, too. As we there we go. 0-0-0. What's next? We're going to load the draft. Enter the draft. Now, how long do we have to wait before it starts on here? It's like another minute 20. Okay, not terrible.
All I'm saying, Corey Perry, if Daily Faceoff is correct in their assumption, and Corey Perry is skating on the top line and playing on the top power play unit, his shot total is sitting at 1.5. It's -130, so it's palatable. That just seems like a mortgage on the over there. You know what I mean? Like, Corey Perry can easily get 2 shots on that just because Ryan Nugent Hopkins doesn't shoot ever.
Especially just because he goes to the front of the net on putback attempts. Like you said, he plays on the power play. So, yeah, that seems like almost a no-brainer there, and it's not too juiced yet at -130. The draft will kick off. So the first 3 picks here 40 seconds will be Otto, which will go quick, and then Ant's going to be the guy who goes at 4. Steve at 5, SBK at 6, Chris at 7, Otto at 8 and 9. And you watched our mocks last summer. Everybody knows I love that swing at the end of the round. Doesn't matter if it's 10, 12, 14. That's where I want to be.
Did we pick our spots, or did we just join?
You could have picked your spots when you were in the waiting room. That's why I moved to 10.
I clearly wasn't listening. I was too caught up on trying to figure out if McDavid's going to get 4 or 5 shots, and then I got distracted by Corey Perry. How fitting is that?
That's why. Listen, he's distracting you on the ice. He's distracting you off the ice.
Yeah.
The guy's doing his job.
Oh, we did. We yeah, that sound. Remember that one?
Yeah, we forgot to mute that. So there we go. It wouldn't be a mock draft without me forgetting to do that as well. So there we go.
We should
get off ESPN once Yahoo's available. But they are not available till late July or early August for fantasy hockey. Usually, as first few picks already have gone off the board here. McDavid. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is why ESPN is fantastic with their mocks. McKinnon, Matthews, Pastrnak, McDavid. Okay.
Hey, help me out.
Brady Tkachuk there for Steve. Listen, in a banger league, Brady Tkachuk, definitely a top 10 player. SBK on the clock here. 30-second clock. That way we don't get too dragged down by doing this. When we get later in the summer, the clock's lastly. Yahoo lets you control it a little more. He takes Mikko Rantanen. I don't mind that at all. Full season of him in Dallas is going to be very be very tough to pass up there. As Chris is now on the clock at pick number 7.
Feels hard to pass up that kind of crazy value here, but I
mean, there's 1 or 2 guys you can take here, and like I wouldn't. Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
There goes Hellebuck, 1 auto pick, Vasilevsky the other, and I cannot believe I ain't gonna get Nikita Kucherov.
What a deal!
10th overall. This is again why ESPN mocks are what they are. But hey, we're gonna deal with until then, and until Yahoo's ready. And you know what? I'm just gonna double up here at the forward. Let's go Kucherov, Kaprizov. That's
nice.
Not a bad way to go.
Oh, that's I'm surprised that Chris did not get on that.
I couldn't pass up value like that on Draisaitl. I love my boy Kucherov. I love Kaprizov. This might be another year of trying to figure out how I'm going to get both on those teams. But you know what I don't have to worry about, though, is getting Cale Makar. So another year. Go. Hey, listen, in our draft, I had to take him 5th overall. So thank you, ESPN, for waiting for him to drop to the 2nd round. I love it.
Listen, I could have. It was to have those two, the Russian wingers of Kucherov and Kaprizov, back-to-back picks to be my cornerstone there. Yeah, that was too. I mean, I was thinking about Shesterkin, but I could probably get a goalie later. Could have taken Makar, but there's still some. I mean, nobody's Makar, but there's still some really good defensemen left on the board. There goes Braden Point after the Makar pick there to SBK. So we got Steve back on the clock before Anthony, and then 6 straight auto picks. So that'll turn around quick there. Still some quality on the board here. JT Miller, not a guy I'm looking to take that high yet. Here's the thing. Now you got to start going through the ESPN boards a little bit, because this is where things get a little screwy on their rankings.
Yeah, Georgiev is the 2nd best goalie.
Yes, sir. I love it.
He's not even the 2nd best goalie on his own Sharks team.
I was gonna say he's not even the best goalie on his team. But listen, I'm here for it.
There we go. Take a look. So there goes Tkachuk. There goes Stamkos. Definitely a bounce back candidate there. Yossi, JT Miller. You see, this is where the auto pick clears out some of the crap as we get back around the clock here. Linus Olmark goes to team 3. Elias Pettersson to team 2. UC Saros to team 1, who also took JT Miller. A lot of Predators off the board there. 3 out of those 6 picks were Preds. We got Anthony on the clock here. I know what he's doing. He's torn between the guy he should take and the guy he wants to take.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. We're still there. You go. He's learned. He wasn't letting that go around.
No.
That's fair. I respect it.
Steve back on the clock here as Rasmus Dahlin off the board to Ant. He's going to take Jack Eichel. I love that pick there in round 2. Why not? Guys, as consistent as they come at the center position in this format, because it's ESPN and it stinks. It's forward. We are appreciative of you making it available. But
saying Jack Eichel inconsistent wasn't going to be said when he was in Buffalo not so long ago.
For all the stuff that's going on in Buffalo, Jack Eichel is the perfect case of look what happens when you get out of that cesspool.
Yep.
he lived up to his expectations. There goes Eichel. There goes Bobrovsky as Chris is on the clock here now.
I mean, I guess I'll deal with him until his life falls apart. All right. We'll do that.
Jack Hughes, there he goes. Mika Zibanejad. Then Zach Hyman. All right. So the defensemen are starting to go here, so I got to be smart about this. I know Quinn Hughes could be out of Vancouver soon, but he's going to be on my team now. So there we go. That's one of my 2 picks there. I'm tempted to go back-to-back defense. I won't. With the goalies that are still on the board right now, I feel like I got to get one guy that's a cornerstone. I'll take Jake Ottinger. There goes Panarin. There's another guy I was considering. Georgiev, just that's not a guy that should
flying off the board.
Cannot believe this is the downfall of the ESPN mock drafts here.
Fantastic value here. I'm not paying for his defensive skills, but I feel like he'd be a good pair here with Draisaitl. So we're gonna take Bouchard and just
stack those power play points.
Hey, listen.
SBK back on the clock. He said full season in Dallas was why he took him over Draisaitl. Again, right wing, that talent, it falls off a cliff quick. So to get a guy like Rantanen locked in, sure. So there we go. Kyle Connor after Bouchard, Mitch Marner, wherever he lands, it's going to be expected to produce. Maybe he produces more getting out of that Toronto fishbowl. We have Anthony on the clock here. Got some good options here. Will he take Ovechkin? We'll see.
It worked out for me last year. Actually this season, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take Ovechkin here.
There you go. I mean, listen, it could be, they haven't said, earlier today, they said there's nothing to discuss regarding beyond the 2025-26 season. So we'll see if this is going to be his farewell tour or not. I kind of expect it to be at this point. Well, I don't know if he's going to want that kind of fanfare. I don't know if he's going to want the Marc-Andre Fleury treatment. Maybe he waits till midseason to announce it, but yeah. I think this is his last year, and he just doesn't want that. The way Sam Rosen with the Rangers, every place he goes, he's getting a gift from teams. I don't know if Ovechkin wants that.
Yeah.
Here we go. Steve on the clock there. After Connor Bedard going to team 3, Jake Gensel to team 2, Reinhardt team 1. Trying to the auto pick actually doing a good job there on that swing picks. Getting Bedard there early in the 5th round. Nothing wrong with that. Ant gets Dougie Hamilton, Brock Faber off the board. He disappointed me last year, but he had a pretty good playoffs. Hopefully that's encouraging for him to take that jump to be a we'll say a second-tier fantasy defenseman, bordering on a top tier this year.
Yeah, I know a lot of us had some big expectations for him, but we'll see. See if he can bounce back. I'm just gonna, listen. If it ain't, a lot of people hate Buffalo. A lot of people don't want to be there, but for now, Tage Thompson seems like he wants to be there. He probably scored one of the bigger U.S. goals recently. Not that I care for it, but it seems like a good spot here for him to be.
And Verhaeghe goes after him. Auto pick your boy Nick Suzuki going to team 9.
Hey, listen, Nick Suzuki is a top 10 center in the NHL. I will fight you if you say otherwise.
So I've got a lot of different ways I can go here, but first thing I'm going to do, and this is where the ESPN rankings just don't matter. Zach Werenski. If Cale Makar didn't exist, Zach Werenski is your Norris winner. But that's not going to be the case. So I got my 2 cornerstone defensemen. I feel like I got to go back to forward here at some point. I don't love the goaltenders that are on the board. I guess Aho is, I'll take Aho. I don't mind that pick here. And what are we in, round 6? I don't mind that. There goes Tavares and Larkin on the auto pick swings. Is Chris back on the clock here?
I guess I'll take a goalie. I mean, I don't like it, but I expect them to be a little bit better now that Lou's not around. So we'll see how Ilya Sorokin does.
Maybe Patrick Waugh, another season with him. SBK saying if I have Suzuki, I'd be trying to pair Cole Caulfield with him without reaching. I think that's smart. I love stacking. I don't love to have too many guys on my fantasy squad from the same actual NHL team, but if you're going to do it, line mates is always a good way to go. Victor Hedman, some value there for us. Be getting top notch, and there goes Adam Fox. He needs to, he's had a good season, but from a fantasy perspective, expecting maybe a little bit more there. Ant takes Philip Gustafson there. And his goalie there goes Dobson, hoping for a bounce back. Joel Eriksson Ek, Vincent Trocheck, Chris Kreider going way too high. There goes Barkov. Jeremy Swayman on the auto pick swings, and it's back to Ant here as we are in round 7, 22. Went along pretty well. Taking a look at the board here, seeing what's available. You got Freddie Anderson, recently eliminated Freddie Anderson. There goes Seth Jones. See where he ends up next year.
I know a lot of people are going to dunk on Wyatt Johnson because some of you care about the plus minus. That is a meaningless stat. Okay.
It's a puntable stat.
Don't worry about it.
Hey, I know where I'm going next when I get on the clock if he's still available. One of my picks. There goes Josh Morrissey, another defenseman off the board there. I got no problem with Wyatt Johnson, that pick either. Listen, he's in the top. He's a fixture in Dallas's top 6. There's no mistaking that.
I'm going to stick with my trend for goals. So somebody's got to score with the Kings. That's usually Adrian Kempe.
Of that pick, there goes Travis Konechny, Jordan Kyrou. Not some bad picks by the auto picks here. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to get my second goalie taken care of. Sorry, Ant, but that's going to be Jacob Markstrom. And then I could go back to defense. There's nobody I really love there right now. So I'm pretty much torn between two guys here, Clayton Keller or Nico Hischier. Nico Hischier had a hell of a season. I don't know if I could pass. I'm not going to pass that up as much as I love Clayton Keller. And there he goes on auto pick. So, I mean, either way, I was probably losing the guy. I'm happy with Hischier there.
I'm going to continue my exposure to the Colorado Avalanche. Listen, as long as you're skating with Nate Dogg, good things are going to happen. So I'm going to take Marty Natchez.
Of that 8th round, that's about where he's probably should be going.
He's going to play like 23 minutes a night, 24 minutes a night. Colorado's going to keep running out. They're not going to bring back guys like Brock Nelson. They're going to need to do this whole thing again where they just run the big boys out. So I'm in.
We got SBK. He gets Caulfield there. So we alluded to him a little about 4 minutes ago, and he goes and grabs him there.
Probably my second favorite team of this draft after mine right there. That's big.
Love that Sergachev pick. There was a guy I was all over last year in Utah. Now officially the Mammoth. Looking forward to seeing those jerseys in person at some point. There goes Jesper Bratt. Great pick there by Ann, getting one of his guys.
Yeah, you took Nico from me. That was going to be my next pick, and so I decided we'll go with his buddy there. And
then Fabian Zetterlund there, Freddie Anderson, the Brincat after him, Lucas Raymond, Tim Stutzel. That's a good value at early in round 9. Mackenzie Weegar also goes on the auto pick there. Still some talent left on the board here. You just got to scroll through it. Got to find it. A lot there. Trying not to tip my hand too much here. There goes Miro Heiskanen, Charlie Lindgren. Let's take a look at the defenseman. There goes the Nuge. Strong pick.
Listen, if you can't get Kirill Kaprizov, the next best guy you can get is Matt Boldy. So welcome to the squad.
As I scrolled by him, and I was like, "Oh, he's going to go soon." And there goes Brock Nelson, Moritz Seider. I'm on the clock. You know what? I don't want to lose this guy. Say what you want. I think he's going to have a big sophomore year. Had a good, strong rookie season. Give me Macklin Celebrini at the end of round 9. And then let's see here. As my 5th forward. Sure, I'll take that. Now you got to play 5 defensemen in this league. So don't want to wait too long to grab that third defenseman here. And let's see, who do I want to take? All right, you know what? Give me Mike Matheson. Sorry, Chris.
That's the wrong pick, but that I'm okay with that because I'm going to take the man who you should have taken,
which is,
we're talking about probably a point per game season from a blue line guy. Like it's coming, it's right here. It's right here. Like it's okay. You know what I mean? It's early in the year, but we're not going to let. I'm not going to let Lane Hudson. If we're starting to take Montreal defensemen, I got to, you know what I mean? I got to lock him up now.
And there's another guy I probably should have grabbed instead of, besides Lane Hudson. Right. So bad pick by me there. But hey, this is why we're practicing, getting into form. There goes Samuel Montembeault for the Canadiens. A lot of Canadians going the last few rounds here. as we are right in the middle of round 10, almost at the halfway point.
We just talked about him.
There you go. Listen, you got to round out that blue line. There goes Carlson, Nazem Kadri, Jacob Trouba, Kevin Fiala, Tyler Toffoli, Marco Rossi. Timo Meier, a little bit of a disappointment last year. We were all expecting more from him. Could be a bounce back candidate. Ant gets he makes sure he has both Capitals goalies there. Lindgren might be a free agent, but I'm not 100% on that. Listen, Logan Thompson absolutely played very well this year. And there goes Matthew Barzal.
Still some very good players here.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the ESPN rankings, you really got to go through them because then it's like, oh, that guy's still out there? Who knew?
Which is, listen, this is good practice because this is what you should be doing, especially if you're drafting on ESPN. If you are, don't know why, but you know what I mean? I guess I'll take a goalie here as well, right? And we're going to take Leafs starting goalie. It's probably confirmed now. And we're going to take Anthony Stolarz. That's the guy.
That's one of the few guys that's not catching shade in Toronto right now.
Yeah, the only there's a lot of people who might, but he ain't one of them.
All right, so here we go. I don't want to like force a pick here, so I don't know if there's any defenseman I want to grab. I do need another forward here. I got 10 seconds to figure this out. You know what? I don't have Rantanen, but give me the guy who's going to be feeding him the puck, Rupe Hintz. And you know what? You could call it a little bit of a reach, but he's really grown and he's going to, he's on that top pairing this year. Give me Thomas Harley. I want to make sure I have a lot of offense for my blue line and kind of feel like I got to chase a tiny bit after the Matheson pick. There goes Jake Sanderson and Jared McCann on the auto picks.
I mean, I feel like it's time. He had a really good showing for Canada at the IIHF World Championship. I mean, if only he had more skill around him, but with Matthew Darsh there, maybe that changes. So I'll take Bo Horvat here.
Now a lot of the Islanders are very strong bounce back candidates this year as a team. From a fantasy perspective, any of the players you want to grab that, it's got to be better this year.
Listen, I'm fully expecting them to let me down. I just want
I
just want everybody to know. I'm fully expecting.
It's got to be optimism in the summer at least. You can't be pessimistic before it's even the first official day of summer. Mark Scheifele, that's a strong pick there by Steve. Right after Binnington goes for SBK, Tomas Hertl, Trevor Moore, Darnell Nurse, JJ Peterka there going in round 12. Good value there. Aiden Hill, he's a goalie off the board for auto pick. Yuri Slafkovsky, Alex Tuck, Luke Hughes by Anthony there. And we are all caught up as we go to round 13 here with Steve back on the clock. Take a look at Steve's team here. Let's see where we think he's going to go. He's pretty much got all of his. He decided to fill up his defensemen there: Faber, Fox, Jones, Sergachev, Heiskanen, Montembeau, and he gets. I love that Fantilli pick. So you might be able to wait a tiny bit longer on him, but I think he's going to have a nice year this year. I think for sure. K on the clock. Got Rantanen, Point, Connor, Caulfield, Nugent Hopkins, Hedman, Morrissey, Carlson, and Montour. Grabs Drake Batherson there. He's got Demko, Bobrovsky, and Binnington. So he's got his 3 goalie rotation. And listen, if you're going to take Demko, you got to have somebody else that's who's going to play. With Vancouver, it's tough to handcuff that right now.
Gonna take a chance here. I don't know how much I buy, like how good his playoff was, if that'll translate. But I'll take Cam Fowler as a 4.
There goes Svechnikov and Lafreniere. Alexi Lafreniere goes right before me. Not sure I would have taken him anyway. Let me get my team up here on the screen. Still got some forward vacancies. Could grab a 3rd goalie. I mean, you know what? I'm just going to try and catch some points from a car here via Devin Taves. My 5th defenseman, I'm very okay with that. And looking at the forward group here, again, you got to scroll through because, got to find those guys that are going to score here. You know what? I know he gets hurt from time to time. Give me Brock Besser. The league where goals matter. I'll take it. There goes Trangelo and Rasmus Anderson.
I'm hoping this player can catch lightning in a bottle twice That'll be Brandon Hagel.
Smart pick. You have one more forward spot to fill with Draisaitl, Hughes, Thompson, Kempe, Natchez, Boldy, Horvat, Hagel, Makar, Bouchard, Hudson, Fowler, vacant D spot, and Sorokin and Stolar is a very underrated 1-2 punch there. Let's see, SBK's got 3 forward spots to fill, a defensive spot, and he takes Sharon Govich, who could take a nice step this year. Calgary's got to figure out how to put the puck in the net more, and once they do that, they're going to be okay. There goes Matthew Nyes. He's going to have a bigger, be leaned on a little bit more in the absence of Marner next year. Offensively, we got Ant back on the clock here.
Stay healthy, please. Stay healthy.
Tyler Seguin. There we go. Brad Marchand goes. Stu Skinner goes auto pick. Justin Falk auto pick. Chris Letang auto pick. Tyson Forrester, who just got a contract, I believe. And there goes Sam Bennett. Good auto pick there. If he stays in Florida, there's Landeskog. Round 15, why not? Matty Duchesne. We get into the 15th round here.
All right, I think I got them lined up. Or not.
Like the Lehkonen pick there?
I mean, why not? You know what I mean? He was pretty good to start the year. I'm expecting maybe some more big things out of him. So I'll take Dylan Gunther here.
All right, so you're going to take Dylan Gunther. There goes Claude Giroux and Brent Burns. I'm back on the clock here with back-to-back picks. And one of the reasons St. Louis, played so well down the stretch and in the playoffs and gave Winnipeg a fight was Mr. Pavel Buchnevich. Glad to take him there. And then for the swing pick, I know there's still some forward depth here. I think take Nikolai Ehlers here. Now I got my forwards filled out. At least on a starting standpoint, there goes Matt Zuccarello and Charlie McAvoy on the auto picks.
We're in what, round 16? I feel like it's time now. He just won KHL Rookie of the Year. He is going to win NHL Rookie of the Year as well. So you can just plug that bet in now. We're going to take Ivan Demidov here because it's time. It's time. It's time. It's time.
Still some real good value on the board here.
I wanted to take Ehlers, but that plan didn't work out. So
your reaction told me that I sniped him from you, and that's fine.
It's still early in the year. You know what I mean? I have time.
Jacob Chikrin, smart pick for a depth blue line guy there.
Okay. Some of you are paying attention. It's good.
Steve's on the clock here before we get to Anthony. He takes Gabe Velarde. And back on the clock here. A few rounds to go as we are approaching round 17. Moving along here on Total Hockey Now. Appreciate you enjoying this mock draft with us here in the end of May. And then we got some movement there after Aaron Ekblad, Jamie Benn, Joel Farabee, Cam Talbot, Patrick Kane, Brian Russ, William Eklund. I love William Eklund because he's an all across the board player. I like him more as an actual hockey player than a fantasy hockey player. But and I enjoy watching him at the Sharks. As Steve's back on the clock. Rossi and Peterka are guys I'm in love with next year. Yeah, those are two guys that could absolutely take a big step. Rossi had some flashes this year. Turk, everybody's a fan of. Albert Thomas, good pick. I was upset that I saw him too late. I was hoping I could sneak back to me. Same thing for Seth Jarvis. So Steve and SBK making a couple of real strong picks there and sniping me. Yes.
Listen, somebody on the back end has to be good for Toronto. Somebody has to push the play. So as much as I hate him, here we are. We'll do Morgan Riley. I wanted Chikrin, but that didn't stick around.
All right, so I'm really not happy that two of the guys I wanted, neither one fell to me. First one I'm going to grab, Kirill Marchenko. I think I love him coming into this year. Tried to get him from Ant's brother, was unsuccessful in doing that. Then the other guy I'm looking at, I could do a Logan Cooley, but Quentin Byfield, he kind of came of age this year, and I think he's going to have an even better season for the Kings next year. So I'll get my first bench forward out of the way. There goes Matt Roy and Elias Lindholm.
I will gladly take Logan Cooley from you. That's fine. If you're going to leave him there,
I knew he was going if I didn't take him. That's
fine. I feel like it's solely fair I pair him with Dylan Gunther. A lot of Utah Mammoth players now that I can look forward to.
Well, they have an identity next year. They're not just hockey club. So there goes Michael Bunting. In a banger league, that matters. And listen, Nashville, maybe next year, maybe they find some chemistry with him and Stamkos or who knows. But there goes Matvei Mishkov. That's a strong pick there. That was a guy that I meant to take earlier, but because I can't play my hand, I didn't want to type him in and put him in the queue and forgot about him. So my mistake is Steve's reward. Thank you, SBK.
Byfield is a solid pick. It's unfortunate.
And listen, Strome provided a ton of value considering where he was going last year. We see some auto picks there as the turn goes back to Ant. It goes Brady Shea, Vince Dunn, Blake Coleman, Dylan Cousins there early round 19. Hopefully, can help Ottawa a little bit more this year. I'm sure he was happy to get out of Buffalo. Ilya Samsonov, Joseph Wall. Ant's on the clock here. Wrapping things up. Got about a few rounds to go. Been an enjoyable first one. I feel like this has gone better than last year's first one. And there's Braden Shen, another heavy contributor for the Blues. Tom Wilson. Hey, it's a banger league. You know he's going to get you some stuff there, and he's still he's in the, we'll say, the Capitals mid-6. Vinikov there, good pick for another guy.
I need Valerie Nichushkin to stay very far away from Stefan Diggs at any point, so he can contribute to my team this year in a positive way.
Stefan Diggs getting it done off the field as I come on the clock here for my back-to-back picks. And now we're starting to get to, you're going to take your dart throw defenseman. Listen, I'll take a Matthias Ekholm here. Maybe. Let's see who else. I mean, I'm gonna take Ekholm here just because I want to share somewhere of the Oilers and I don't have one.
That's a good one. I can live with that.
I'm back on the clock here. He was my guy last year. Let's make him my guy again. Darcy Kemper.
Oh damn.
That makes up for my Mike Matheson pick.
This guy, for I don't know, the first time in what feels like forever, was not on the IR.
Mark Stone.
Yeah, he wasn't on the trade deadline. Maybe his back is restored. Maybe went to, I don't know, some of the medicinal stuff. So listen, at pick 194, I'm okay with taking Stone there. If I get him until February, I'm happy with it.
Smart pick there with Kurashev. There's another goalie on the board that I wish I would have taken instead of Kemper. Now that I'm thinking of it, I may just have to take it just to be a prick if I get a chance. It's not Jet Greaves, but that's a good one. That's they're going to expect him to maybe take a lot more of that goalie 1A slot in Columbus this year.
Someone's got to take over in Columbus, man. Please don't let it be Elvis another year.
So here we go. And Pionk there as he goes around 21, pick 3. That was a guy I was considering as a defensive pick, but I like that Ekholm a little bit better in that spot. Ant's making his penultimate pick here.
I know it's heavy thinking for the first mock draft of the year.
Like Schmaltz. And now you're at the point where you're going with guys that you can rely on. Like, all right, I know what I'm getting from that guy. I can bank on it. Huberto, hey, listen, round 21, why not?
I forgot that he exists.
That was one of the goalies I was thinking about, but that was not the one I was referring to. But great pick there. I traded for him in a keeper league last year, and I'm going to hold on to him as long as I can.
That's unfortunate because I had him lined up, and I don't have another player lined up here, so I don't know who I want to go with here. I'm going to end up in the auto draft slot. Let's take Zach Benson.
I like that pick. That was a guy I was looking at. Oliver Bjorkstrand, Jeff Skinner. Here's who I want. Listen, I wouldn't normally carry 4 goalies in this format, but I can flip one of those to somebody who gets hurt real easily between Kemper, Wolf, Markstrom, and Ettinger. So I'm happy either way there. Now I got to make my other pick, my last pick of the draft. Could go forward or defense here, but I mean, I think I'm pretty well rounded on the blue line. I'd rather have the depth at forward. I got 10 seconds to make a pick. Sean Monahan, why not? I mean, I don't know if he's going to have the same season he had this year, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be a steep drop off there. There we go. Draft done. First Maki in the books. Very exciting. Go. Draft board. We got a few more to go. Mackenzie Blackwood. Good pick there for a goalie late, especially. Good steal. Leo Carlson, love that pick by the auto draft. Philip Hronik, you could do worse for a defenseman in the last round. Drew Doughty, same thing there by SBK. And he didn't play for a nice chunk of this last year, so it's a little less tread off the tire. Logan Stankoven, last round, good pick. Ant gets Lion A, Shea Theodore, Adam Larson, and then Travis Sanheim rounded out. So we're not going to do a full-blown draft recap here because let's face it, it's May. But overall, we happy with our teams? You're muted, my friend.
Absolutely. As a guy who was so close to taking this down, yet still so far, yeah. I enjoy my team.
And we happy.
Yeah, I can't complain.
I love my team. I wish I could take this team and carry it into next season. Other than my Matheson pick, I only did one mock draft just to test it for today, so it's not like I was doing 7 of them yesterday, trying to snipe you guys and steal you guys. But man, I love my draft. Would be a pleasure to be a part of a league if there's an opening. Great show, gents. Absolutely. You just keep following us on all the good spots. Rip and Riff on YouTube and X. You got all our Twitter handles there on the screen as I bring it up there. And speaking of promotion here, new episode of Rip and Riff just came out a little while ago with myself and at Mr. Jared Moore. But I want to get to Ant, Subway to Shea podcast. The big one for episode number 200, the one and only Doc Gooden.
Yeah. It was from a panel that I did for the Queens Baseball Convention at Catch Astoria. It was a gastropub. So we had about 30, 40 people out there to enjoy the stories of Dr. K. Dwight Gooden. It was a lot of fun.
Great nickname. And he had a good career with the Yankees, too, when he went over there. He threw a no-hitter with them, too. So, I mean, talk about a guy who had a bounce back. I mean, one of the all-time great pitchers there. Check that out at Subway to Shea. What do we got besides Puck Doku coming up on the Slapshot podcast this week?
We are going to, once we find out who wins, I will give you my 100% correct pick for the Stanley Cup. I'll have time to go back, review it, see if I continue to support the Edmonton Oilers, even though I don't want to. Little bit of Mitch Marner, just a little bit, because I like to rage bait. A lot of fans out there.
Yeah, you got to poke
fans.
there.
I just want to rage bait you guys because you guys don't understand it's your defense. That's the problem, right? You got the wrong core four. Wrong core four. And we're going to take a look at if the Islanders are going to be better now that Matthew Darsh is there. And we'll see if we can find some Calder odds. Probably not, because they haven't even awarded this one yet. But I will give you not a full PowerPoint presentation, but at least some strong points as to why Ivan Demidov wins Rookie of the Year.
I mean, he's probably going to be the odds-on favorite out of the gate. I mean, it's tough to imagine it would go to anybody else, at least as their first odds.
If you find a book that has it, I will allegedly, maybe, possibly not, locate myself in an area where I can place that bet so I can take it. Again, allegedly.
And I might allegedly join you on that, but we will see. That'll do it for this edition. Total Hockey Now. Total Hockey Now YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking part in the mock draft. Thank you for here. We got puck dropped in about a little less than 2 hours here for 5 But at Ant Rivera 86 and at Fuzzy Chris 91. I am at Pucking Thoughts Adam Bernard. Be back with you next week at some point with an all new episode of Total Hockey Now. Here,
Stanley Cup edition.
Stanley Cup preview edition. We may have to do it a different day to get it in. We'll see. Stanley Cup preview talk next week. It'll be the Panthers versus the Stars of the Oilers. We'll have to wait and see on a whole new episode of Total Hockey Now.